Yeah, I know.
That
That ain't happening.
No, we had a couple of extra off. We had
Yeah.
2 second shift officers come out early and jump in. Actually, the text I got was, it's chaos up here, trying to burn down. Something like that. So they didn't show.
Hey, guys.
I know you're not Nancy Hanks. I know you're Sarah Motion.
Yes, thank you very much.
You know why I said that?
I know, everybody thinks I'm Nancy
No,
Hanks.
actually, I knew better, but I was talking to Gina. She was talking about my relationship, how we're related to Lincoln. I was talking about Sarah, Nancy Hanks, and whatnot, and it just stuck in my mind. And I said that, and after we, the next day, she was so excited. I said, "Oh, she's oh my gosh, again."
A good fit, yes.
She took off in Dillon today.
Welcome to the September the 11th work session of the Elizabethtown City Council. Marty will bring invitation.
Let's pray. God, we pause on this day that is forever etched in our memory and in our hearts. And we pause to say thank you to first responders that responded so bravely. We realize here in our community that we are blessed with our first responders, and so we say thank you for them as well. God, for those that today mourn and hearts are so broken, we pray for your peace and comfort, that you will bring it to them. God, we are so thankful that we live in this community that we do. A community that is caring, a community that is loving, and a community that is united. And we thank you for that. And as we assemble today, as a body of government, we assemble as a free body. And we thank you because of the bravery that has been demonstrated and continues to be demonstrated so that we can meet as a free body. God, all that we discuss, may it bring glory to you. It's in your son's precious name that we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join us in the pledge to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, we're starting out with Mary Smith from the Heartland Subdivision. Okay. George Haslam. Did I pronounce that right? Haslam, all right. Do you want to come up here and?
And thank you all for this moment I'm going to have. Forgive me, I'm very nervous. I've never had to attend a public meeting before.
Not just local folks.
But long story short, I just bought a house over on North Main Street the 1st of June and so forth. And I bought a house that had many pets on site, so I couldn't get an overall feel of the neighborhood. Since I moved in 3 months ago, I've got one house at 411 that has 2 dogs that are left outside pretty much 24/7. And there's one at 403 that they're out there basically sun up to sundown. I've had the police over there about 4 or 5 times, 5 times since July 30th, mainly between the hours of 9:45 in the evening and 5 in the morning for the dogs barking. And the police are saying during the day, there's really nothing that they can do. And so, and I do not know who else has maybe complained on the dogs over the period of time, but I can't enjoy my outside even during the day because I have dogs barking 24 hours a day. So I guess I'm here because the police are telling me there's not a whole lot they can do. And, you know, I feel like a little bit of runaround too. go to the police department, they say, come here. I come here, you say, go there. I call the dog warden, and they say, call the county attorney. So I guess I'm starting with you to see what we might be able to do and what's going on. I thought I had a friend help me and print a copy of the ordinances, but as I was just told, they were the county ordinances, not the town ordinances. So tried to put a little homework in it, but didn't work out. But so I'm wondering what the city might be able to help us with.
Is this code enforcement issue from disturbing the peace, or would this go into the code enforcement?
It's a nuisance.
And Ed, we do have a 24-hour nuisance ordinance for dogs. It's not just during the evening. Am I incorrect on that? No. Right. Okay. There is, it's Mr. Haslam, is it a 24-hour nuisance ordinance?
Okay, good. Well, I was in here about 2 weeks ago, and I spoke with, I think it was Kelly, and then I came back last week and spoke with Mary. And after I spoke with Kelly, she sent Officer Higgins over to the house the next day in the evening, and we talked, and he said basically during the day there's not a whole lot we can really do. So apparently he's not, totally up to what's going on. But right now, like I say, if I can get any assistance, and I'm sure I probably got 50 neighbors that would, because 403, they put those dogs out there, and the day of the parade, I was home. I said I didn't realize it that I was I just had to come down here this side of town. It's like, and I wasn't up to walking the half mile. So it's like, you know what, stay home and work. 411, I was working in the backyard, and the dogs saw me. They barked for 45 minutes. The ones down there, they were out all day. And that particular day, I took a break and I sneezed, and the dogs both sides barked for half an hour.
What's your number, sir?
I'm 407.
You're 407.
Okay, I thought you were complaining about 9:45 PM until 5 AM.
Yes, but it is also it's a day, it's around the clock. So
Okay, and the police officer told you there was nothing he could do about them barking during the day.
during the day.
Correct.
So apparently he just wasn't, from what these gentlemen are saying, he was misinformed.
Or it could be the owners weren't home. If the owners aren't home, there's really nothing you can do until they get home. Am I correct, Chief?
Okay, well,
That could have been it.
I'm asking,
um,
you talked to 403 or 411, either one?
I haven't, because I'm at 403 for a brief second as she was walking by, and I was working in the yard, and I didn't want to pull a confrontation, not have anybody to back me up or anything like that. And I figured, you know what, to eliminate that and so forth. And the best of my knowledge, the police department has talked to these people to what extent, I don't know. But Mr. Higgins said he was going to go talk to both of them that afternoon. What happened, I don't know. They were a little bit better, but still, like my friends are telling me that, it sounds like abuse to them because, they're basically locked up or fenced in.
Are they chained?
I think 403 is chained. I can't tell because the way the alley, I can go down the alleyway there and I can look in, and it looks like they're chained to some kind of tree or pole or something. So you have one here and one there, and they're big dogs, something in the Doberman size. The other one is a St. Bernard and something equally as large. And like I say, I can't enjoy my outside, so, and at night it's, it depends on what night it is. So, I know this may be a process, but what can we work on, or what can we do, or who can I go talk to from here?
What does our nuisance ordinance say?
Requires 2 complaints.
2 complaints.
From different
And
people or
that's-
for the same person?
Has to be from 2 different
And then that
residents.
constitutes a nuisance.
And then after that, you would fine them or warn them?
Depends. If we're one time, and that's the issue that we're having, is that he has called 4 times that we have on record. The officers get there, there's no barking dog. He is the only person that has called. So our hands are tied, so to speak, as far as ordinance is concerned.
Right.
Get there, the dogs are continuously barking. We ask
how about if he recorded it on a smartphone and then showed you all what was going on? Would that help?
That'd be up to the county, sir.
Do you have another neighbor that has spoken to you?
I haven't been able to really meet that many neighbors. The one house next door to me is vacant. The other one, she has a small poodle of some kind, and I've tried to meet her once or twice, and she just doesn't seem to be friendly. So I know there's a house next door to this house that is on the market. And I spoke with that agent, and apparently she was going to try and be here today, but I guess she is, in real estate, she's busy. But she told me she's having problems selling that property because of the dogs. And I have talked to another agent, and she says she's got a brand new house in town that's on the market, and they can't sell it because there's a barking dog. Now, they're probably running into the same situation I am, because you need multiple people to complain. And if you've got a brand new house that's under construction or something, or it's empty, who's going to complain?
Chief, let me ask you a question. You said 2 complaints, which you mentioned too. And once you have 2 complaints, an officer goes over there, the dog or dogs are barking. Is it discretionary for our officer at that point, whether to issue a citation or not? It's still discretionary.
Should we change the ordinance just to say 2 complaints by the same people, the same person, not by 2 different people?
I don't think you're gonna do that.
And it's not cruelty to animals to have
Yeah.
the dogs in the backyard within a fence.
Yeah, and, but the thing is, they're pretty much left out there to bark, like 403, they're pretty much outside all day, and they bark, almost anything. If the train's going by, it'll bark, it doesn't take a whole lot. I have seen people, walking down my side of the street, and they hear those dogs, they cross the street because they don't know. So, and I can't blame them. If you're walking down the street and you hear a dog barking and you don't, and you can't see it, and, I've been bitten enough in my life, I'd probably do the same thing.
You may have mentioned approximately how long has your situation with that been going on, sir?
Oh, I've been, the first time I called the police department was July 30th. And I called July 30th at 4:30 in the morning, August 19th at 12 a.m., August 20th at 9:45 p.m. And that's when I found out there was a time sensitive to this. August 27th at 3 in the morning, 3:15, and September 4th at 4:15 in the morning. But
And those
these are
calls were made to the police.
to the police department. And, when I have to put the police department on speed dial and get on a first name basis with a young lady that answers the phone at those hours, we need to see what changes or improvements we might be able to make. And so, I just appreciate any help that I might be able to get.
Well, I'm sympathetic towards you because I've had a neighbor with barking dogs, and I've had to talk to them, call the police several times. When finally it's improved, but it took quite a while. And, I've always thought that our ordinance on the barking dogs need a little more teeth, excuse the pun. But I'm totally sympathetic when I go out campaigning for city council and going door to door. Oh my gosh, the number of dogs are just
And,
constantly barking.
I'm-
You see it more in the older neighborhoods. Main Street, Central Avenue, down the Deeks Edition.
And,
It gets pretty bad. I always wonder how their neighbors can stand it.
I've rented, the better part of my adult life. I've owned a couple homes over the years, but I've never had a problem with like what I have here. If it's not the nights are getting better because I guess the police have gotten it in touch with 411. So come 10 o'clock, they're a little bit better, but they'll still let them out at 3 or 4 and they'll go to the bathroom, but they're going to bark for that 10 or 15 minutes they're out there. So.
If you've got an outdoor dog, how do you keep a dog from barking? That's what dogs do.
Oh, people have told me, I've had a lot of people helping me in the last week with this. And I had this printout and from friends out of state, and one has always had pets. And, you know, but what they upset them was the dogs are left outside pretty much all day, chained up or loose, you know, in a fenced in yard or something. And,
I realize
you know,
that, but
and,
what I'm,
but
guess what I'm.
I really, I don't know what can be done to curtail a barking animal.
Actually, I can answer that. They do make certain devices to stop the dogs from barking. One's a bark collar. And I just think it's incumbent upon the owners to be responsible and good neighbors and keep your dogs from barking all the time. That's it. And there are the devices to stop them from barking, but unfortunately, there's people out there that they don't care if their dogs make a lot of noise or not. They just let them bark all the time.
What- That's what I'm asking. What are the cures? I didn't know.
Yeah, there are bark collars. There's
That's two.
sonic emitters where the
Yes,
dogs
too,
bark.
though, I've heard
It's at a high pitch.
with birds, I mean, with the chirping, so.
You know, but you know, it's,
Some things that I'm not sure how much you can control, and they do have to talk to each other, just like we talk to each other. I have some neighbors that has excessive.
you know, I mean, you know, all I could say is,
Don't know if we-
you know, give me your phone number, and someday when they're sitting out there, and I'll call you, and, you know, I'll just lay the phone on the table, and, you know, you can listen to them for 45 minutes. You know,
But bottom line is, we've got an ordinance. We either need to enforce the ordinance as it's written or change the ordinance or get rid of it, one or the other.
Well,
It's,
But I think the police chief has said he's willing to enforce it, but there are requirements to that.
I
So you have to
realize that.
change
So I said,
ordinance.
change the
Yeah.
ordinance in.
Yeah.
But one or the other, we got to do it. It's not working.
Well,
And they're good
you
and
know,
smart when they see the
and,
uniform.
you know, I know.
Friendly dogs. You know,
Chief, let me ask you this. The county has animal control. Animal control, the county animal control will not work within inside the city limits of E-Town. Is that
That's not accurate.
because I've called the animal control before, and they always tell me we'll call the city police. So,
Usually, I guess I would describe it as they use us as a vetting agent, if you will, as to whether or not they're gonna come out. And of course, it depends on the circumstances and what is going on.
right, they wouldn't
For
come out
for a barking dog, they're not.
No,
going to
they,
Now, one of the houses that he has referenced, and I'm not sure which one, you may be.
it's 411 or 403.
One of them, they have responded to, and they have cited the owner, it's my understanding, for some type of cruelty or something along those lines.
Now, was that through you or animal control?
That's animal control.
So that is in the last week or so. So,
Yes, that's right.
And sir, did you say that none of the neighbors, to your knowledge, have complained?
from what the police department's telling me, nobody's complained. So that means, you know, I mean, I did try to get in touch with 411, but the house is for sale, and I got a funny feeling it's empty. You know, because I did speak with the agent that had it, and she was going to try and be here
So
to.
there's not dogs at 411 anymore.
No, 411 has has two dogs, and 403 has two dogs.
But nobody's living at 411?
No, it's 413. I'm sorry. It was
Okay.
413.
Based on what I said earlier, then we've got to look at check. The letter of the ordinance has not been met in his situation yet because there's not been two complaints. Is that correct? Okay.
So in
That's
other
what I
words,
said. We've either got to change the ordinance or
They have to observe or hear.
Mr. Haslam, maybe if you can talk to your other neighbors around there
Yes.
and if it's bothering them, because some people are
Yes.
just afraid to call the police because they don't want to make their neighbors mad at them, but they can do it without giving their name. You know, maybe you can talk to them and say, hey, if it's bothering you, if we can get together and call the police and they can actually
but
untie
now,
their hands
you
and
know,
do something.
but you know, from what you're all saying is there is something that can be done during the day. You know, so now, you know, I mean, these guys have got better things to do than to come out, you know, 4 or 5 times. And believe me, I could get them out there 4 or 5 times a day. You know,
I think the deal is you're gonna have to give it to your neighbors.
I'm gonna have to go
And
for,
together, you all file the complaint.
and
it has to be together.
And it has to be together, it has to be complaint.
So-
Because a lot of times, I will hear people call me about something, but they don't want to disturb or upset their neighbors because they won't file the complaint. So we would need you as well as your neighbors
okay.
to be willing to file that complaint.
I mean, it's, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, you know, I'm this desperate to have to, you know, come down here and do some research and keep coming back a couple of times to be standing here this evening to, you know, what can we do? What, you know, what do we need to do from here, or what can we do? So, you know, I mean, if you're going to be seeing about doing some other things, and I'll try to talk with some neighbors, especially, you know, maybe I can get the real estate lady that owns that house for sale and say, well, you know, would that be sufficient to qualify as the second individual? The real estate agent of a home that's on the market that is having trouble, would she qualify as the second, as a second
If she
individual?
hears the dogs and their
Yeah.
nuisance. sure,
Well, she was gonna try and be here today, but you know the way that works. But, so, well, and, like I say, I'm 407 North Main Street. You're welcome to knock on the door or sit in the driveway some Saturday. You know, I'll give you a bottle of water.
Well, Chief, if one of us happens to come out there and we hear the dogs barking, could we do the second complaint? Do we have to be a resident out there?
I don't see that in the statute. I don't see why not.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll come out there sometime if I hear it. I'll file the complaint as well.
And, you know, like I say, 403, if you make the right on Brown from here and you make the left on the alley, I think it's that first driveway. And then 411 is the house next door to the blue one that's for sale. I think, what's that, Warfield? So it'd be the second house on the left coming back. So, thank you all very much. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you, sir. Appreciate it.
Okay, Ed, want to talk about some ordinances, more ordinances?
Chief, we may need to take Nico out there and see if Nico can communicate with those dogs.
No,
That's right, that's a
Remy.
We have a new.
Remy. Huh? It's Lola.
Lola.
Lola?
What is
Remy's
Lola want?
Remy's gone.
Chief, is this what you expected for your first big case?
What do you say to, wait a minute, Ed, what do you say to, let's say there's a elderly widow woman living in one of these houses and she has these dogs and she wants them to bark to alert her. And she's afraid, and where do you go here? I mean, where do the rights of the dog owners stop? And if they stop them at night and they take them in the house at night, so they're not barking, but they're going to bark during the day.
I mean, really, that's a decision for you guys to make. I mean, I'm not kicking the can, but he taught me well.
Learning the politics.
I will speak from my own personal experience. I'm a dog owner. We have 2 dogs. If I let my dogs outside and they start barking, I go out there and I tell them to shut up. I wouldn't want to listen to barking dogs next to me either. I think personally the ordinance is written well because it does require two different residents to complain, because if you've got just one person, they have a vendetta against another.
Yeah.
Not a good situation.
Apparently you have all these neighbors living fine all this time, and he's been there a couple of months, and boom. And you know, years ago, when I walked the streets campaigning, I'll bet you 98% of the people in this town have a dog.
And they all bark.
And they all bark. Yeah,
Couple of them bite.
yeah. I mean, this is a dog-friendly community.
Yes. And I think his issue is relative. It's relative to him.
And it does take some personal responsibility if you want pets.
I think so, yes.
You know, my mom lives 2 doors from me and she's got a yapper. And she can't hear me because she can't hear. So I will call and say, Mom, you know, it's 11 o'clock at night. It's time for Max to come inside. Oh, it is. Okay, I'll go get him. You know?
The name of the complaint on, yeah.
But I mean, it doesn't bother me, but I don't live directly next door to her. And I'm sure there's other people that it's a little, but she at least takes the responsibility to do what she can to say, Max, come in or shut up or whatever.
Sure.
And
And
it does take some personal responsibility if you're going to be a pet.
Sergeant Huggins did talk to, I think it was the lady at 403. And she said, you know, she would do the best she could to help quail the dogs and to keep them quiet. And he couldn't, I think it was 411, and I might be mistaken. I might have him reversed, but I think it was 411 that he was not able to make contact with anybody at that residence. But it may sound like something they may be in the transition of getting out.
But Chief, you did say if a second complaint that calls the police department, that officer has the discretion, that person
Well,
can decide it then.
I'll read the ordinance. It's got it right here. Section 1 for control of dogs. It shall be unlawful for any person to keep or harbor within the city any dog that barks or yelps or otherwise makes such noise as to disturb the peace and quiet of the people in the neighborhood or area where the dog is kept. Verification of more than one person from at least 2 different households shall be required before this provision takes effect.
So if that occurs in his case, though, my point is, we can issue a citation.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
And how much is the citation?
50.
Is that one
Good
we've got going
question.
through the
I don't
code board? I can't remember.
Yeah.
And it'd be a
Yeah.
code enforcement board.
Okay, code enforcement board. So usually, yeah, the first violation is 50 on something.
It's in the ordinance.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm. And then if it happens again, then that can be up, I mean, it's a progressive fine. You know, so.
And the neighbor I had, I did the same thing. I just took a copy of the ordinance and just let it there. Yeah.
Yeah.
With a pencil?
With a pencil.
Thermometer.
And
Or a pepper?
Chief, it does say 2
Peppers
different
work too.
neighbors, doesn't it?
Yes.
Households.
Different households.
Household.
Okay. Mhm.
Which I think the realtor, to me, that with a realtor would
Right.
apply.
Well,
She's the owner.
how about when you get that kennel situation? Is there a maximum, minimum number of animals you can have before you start calling it a kennel?
It is, and that is by the health code, right?
Lincoln Trail.
6?
6 or 8. Bill.
I think it's 6, yeah. Uh-huh.
6 or 8 before it becomes.
And
then that has to be
squirrels and brushes. Everything comes by, they're gonna bark.
6 sounds right to me too. I think that sounds right. I think you're right.
Okay.
Are you ready to go on, Ron?
Don't get me
I'm
started.
afraid we're gonna be getting into chickens before.
Don't get us started on
Stay away
chickens.
from the
Okay,
chicken.
we're not doing it.
ducks.
I know, it's like.
I'm ready to go on, Mayor. Yeah, I'm ready.
Look at the duck.
I think we put this on the agenda this evening in case you all had any further questions or discussions from last.
To remove that part of
Yeah.
the storage out of that. I would anyway, I'll speak for myself. Would like for that language about the storage and vehicle storage to be removed from that. And I'm okay with.
I'm okay with it then if that is removed.
That's fine. That's why, like I said, that's why we do first and second readings.
Okay.
That was really easy.
Yeah, that was easy.
Talk about dogs or something? Wow.
Tattoo parlors.
So I'm ready to move on.
You
Mayor.
ready to
I'm ready
move on?
Go ahead.
Don Hill, Scott Reynolds. This is a tag team. Wow.
It's all him.
Mayor, Council, good afternoon. There's a lot of activity down at the Public Works facility. We thought it'd be a good time to give you a progress report. We'll talk a little bit about what has happened, what is happening, and then what the future plans are for that area. So first, we'd like to give you an update on the Public Works Administration Building. One thing is that there's offices for Public Works admin, Natural Gas Department admin, facilities, management, and then also IT. So at this time, we're at 99% complete on that building. There are some punch list items that have not been completed, but that's due to materials that had to be ordered and just anticipated delivery on them. So we're looking at about the end of the month for that building to be totally complete. We budgeted, I think it was right at $3 million for that. And at this time, we're at 2.25 million. We have one more payment remaining, and that's at about $115,000. So it's a nice building. We still plan on, it's on me, we still plan on having an open house. There is a plaque that we're having made. And so once we get that installed, then we'll send out an email or notice to you all so you can come down and look at it. Some of you have come down and looked at it. Yeah, it's a very nice building. I mean, Scott did an excellent job. We had several meetings with the architect and then got input from different departments. And it really is a facility to be proud of. It's nice, but it's functional and it looks like a construction office building. So we're pretty proud of it. The other thing that we've got going on is that let me go back to the admin building. The conference room has been used a couple of times, and we've got a schedule lined out for it, and we've opened that up to different departments and different entities. The state highway department might have a seminar down there, and we're going to have one at the end of the month on snow and ice removal. So we've already had one on basic flagger and traffic control, and we're going to have a safety meeting in that room at the end of this month. So we used to have to do different departments. Now we can do everybody at one time. That room will sit with tables and chairs about 45. With table or chairs only, it's about 73. Somewhere's around there. So now we can address everybody at one time, and everybody can get the same message. So that the conference room, it's about a 12-person conference room, and we use that weekly. We have supervisor meetings there. And also once a month, we have an engineering meeting where we meet with the engineering department and talk about projects that are pending and how different departments interact. So, it's a good place for everybody to get the same message. Any questions or any concerns can be addressed in these type of meetings. So, but we've got, right now we're utilizing all but 3 office spaces. So we've still got room for expansion, or if anybody determines that they need an office down there, we have that area available. So that's the admin building. The salt barn or salt storage building is located in proximity to the existing building. And we're at about probably about 65% completion on it. The walls have been poured. What we have pending on that is the trusses, the roofing, and then the concrete floor. So that's about a 40 by 60 building. I think we budgeted $174,000 for that. The bid came in at $176,000. However, the city is purchasing the materials directly, so we can save on the sales tax plus reduce that amount off of the bid. So we're going to take care of the materials, and that building should be completed by the end of the month. So we're looking at increasing our storage capacity. We have an existing building that's 400 tons. That one will house anywhere from 600 to 800 tons. So once that building's completed, we're going to go ahead and put in our order for salt and fill that one up. So we'll have anywhere from 1,000 to 1,200 tons of salt available at the beginning of the season. So, and just depends on how much we lock in each year. And also, it gives us the luxury, one, of having it, but also the luxury that if prices skyrocket, then if we have our capacity full, then we may can back off of that nomination on the salt. So we can play the commodity market on salt. So the proposed operations facility, and this is going to be next to the admin building, and you can see it's going to be about 55 by 350. We're looking at an excess of 18,000 square feet, and that's the drawing that you have. And that building, the purpose for it is going to be, there's going to be 5 bays for public works. It's going to be 3 bays for the natural gas department, and then 3 bays for the stormwater department. There also is a core area in the center of the building, which will have a break room area. It'll have lockers, showers, bathrooms, and then in each of the bays, there's areas for offices for the supervisors in each department. So if you look at that drawing, and then parking in the back, we closed the right of way down for Waterworks Drive in order to meet the requirements to be able to build closer to the street. And so those departments will be moving in there. Stormwater at this time leases a space out on College Street Road. So let's see, for that project, we have $3.25 million budgeted. And as of this date, we haven't spent anything out of that. We have a meeting scheduled. We've met one time with the architect. We have a meeting scheduled for next week to work on the design and also hopefully get closer to finalizing that. And we had a step ahead on that because the architect did the master plan, and in that master plan, they did a little work on laying out the buildings that are going to be in this area. Let's see. So once we complete this building, which is what we're working on, once we complete this building, then we can talk about the renovation to the existing building. Now, when gas department moves over to the new facility, that frees up space in the existing building. So what we're going to do over there is we're going to expand the garage by 2 bays, where right now Public Works uses those, And the 2 bays and office area that the gas department uses, we're going to move ballpark maintenance from Parks and Recreation into that. Again, they lease area or space too. So that'll bring everybody down here that uses this area, because each department at any time or another that they will come down here and they'll either, they'll fuel up or whatever it is that they need to do. They might bring trash down to the dumpsters, or they may have storage. We have trailers stored and they may come down and get trailers. So it'll be a one-stop area. In the next week, you should be getting, or you will be getting, a memo on the geotechnical proposal for this site right here, because we have to get this data and the test performed in order to get the okay to be able to build on this. So we did the same thing with the admin area, and in the admin bid, it was allowed for site work in this area right here. So this parking lot, there was a parking lot here, it's been removed. The existing or the old office building, the White House, that's been removed also. So we're getting prepared for that. And let's see, and then also this covered shed, we've eliminated this, but we're still in discussion about this covered shed over here, which is right now is storage. This whole area right here is storage for equipment. So we're going to look at the possibility of adding another covered shed. We have 2 existing, adding another covered shed in that area because of the equipment that we have and what the city invests in this equipment. We believe that we need to have some area where it's out of the weather. So, because there's some pieces of machinery that is not used year round. So leaf vacuum equipment is one example. So we want to have an area that we can cover this equipment, protect it from the elements. I believe that's all I have. I'll answer any questions.
I agree that the admin building looks really nice from 62, just curb appeal. The operations building, you can probably do something to match, or?
Yes, the operations building will match, and we'll look at the colors, but the front of it, we haven't determined the front of the building yet on the common core area, but I think it's going to be pretty close to what we've got for the admin building. So, but the colors, and then whenever y'all approve it, or if you approve it, when we do the renovation to the operations building, because it does have structural issues, that we're gonna mirror the color of the 2 newer buildings.
Very impressive. It is.
No, thank you all. Thank you all. Y'all approved it, so we really appreciate it, and we do get numerous compliments on it. So we thank you.
Better than the old Crucible Magnet building. Remember when we took a look out there?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I remember when we looked at that. So, but if that's what we got, we would have made the best of it. But
It's an airport anchor.
it is nice. I know from our standpoint is that we get to work together in the same building, and so it opens up the line of communications because it's easily accessible. But at any time, if you look at Matthew or Scott or myself, we're not in the office very much, but when we are, then we can catch each other and talk to each other about things that we've got going on. So it's nice. It's a nice thing to have.
When is your open house?
Again, it is on me. So
That's when we
delivery
do the
on the
last step.
delivery on the plaque, I think is around 3 to 4 weeks. So when we get that, we'd like to have the plaque in place, and we don't have anything hung up except in the individual offices. In the offices, we want to do some decoration in the hall. Scott's people have been working on some different pictures for us to hang up, and he's really done a great job with that. So we've seen about 4 or 5 of those, and so we're going to hang those up in the hallway. So, one thing too, we've got a small conference room when you enter the building that, if it's someone that you don't want back in the office area, then you can come up and meet them and you can go in the small conference room. So, I mean, it really is, it's a very functional building, and we certainly enjoy it. So, thank you all.
Mary, do you want to say something about the Sister City program and the visitors coming Sunday? You have a lot of volunteers that are entertaining.
It's this weekend.
Yeah, it's this weekend. You better be ready. Aren't you volunteer?
I'm out of town this weekend.
Oh.
Sorry.
But it is, we always,
But if I was in town, I would be glad to.
we always put on you know how when you're having company, your mom says, all right, we're having company, clean up, get ready. We're having company.
What sites are they gonna see this year? It's pretty cool.
There's a museum across the way. Come see us.
Yeah, they will see Elizabethtown. They'll be here. Anybody else?
I have one thing.
Yeah.
Councilman Fulkerson this week sent us a letter that he received from someone at Kentucky League of Cities,
Mhm.
kind of giving us a heads up on what was gonna go on, or what some of the recommendations are. The burden that Elizabethtown will have in catching the state pension. And his recommendation was for us to get involved and to try our best to have a voice in those discussions. And I just couldn't agree with him more. I think we should. I think we should be proactive. It was quite an expense to our city and what our budget can handle. And I mean, it's a big, big deal. And it's not right, but it's what's going to happen. And I think we need to get the ear of our legislators, and I think we need to let our position be known. I appreciate Marty sending it. I've been trying to brush up on it and learn a little bit more about it, but it's not a good situation, for sure.
And we've been talking with Jeff and Charlie and been talking about, and we have signed the letter.
I know that Dennis Parrott came out and said that they're working on arranging a meeting, and I think that'll be fine, and I think we need to go. This is not something that just happened last week.
No.
This has been going on, and it's not like the city didn't already pay our part. We paid our part. The government, the state government, did not put their part in, and now they come back to us as taxpayers and say, oh, because we wasted our share and what we should have done, would you taxpayers pay it again? And that is totally wrong. And, you know, they say, oh, we can't kick the can down the road. Well, you have been kicking the can down the road. Let's call it what it is. And now it's time we got to fix it. It's huge impact. When you consider that we spend $1 million a year paving roads, and you're looking at $1.5 million to $1.6 million now with this new plan of additional revenue that we have to pay because the state didn't, you're basically saying we can't pave roads. Now, E-Town is in a little bit better financial shape than other cities are, but still, that's a huge to have to pay, considering somebody else didn't do it. But I'll get up.
Exactly. And
But I think this is one where I appreciate you sending it, because it's nice to see what the preliminary reports show is going to be our burden. And it's not an easy burden. It's going to be a tough one. And facilities like this up here are going to have to be postponed, or we're going to have to do without. And we've kind of had a luxury in the past where we don't have to say no to a whole lot of these things, but we will have to start saying no to a lot of these things.
and the Kentucky League of Cities is doing a terrific job getting us prepared.
We had a
working with
2.5
us.
hour phone conversation.
You know, also our teachers are also affected by this as well, and it's the same situation. They've really squandered the teachers' pension, and I've been attacking that end, talking to legislators from my end with education. So it's something that we all need to band together, and you know, a promise was made about these pensions, and this promise needs to be kept. And granted, it needs to be fixed, but you know, we can't go out the baby with the bathwater on this one. We need to do some sound, fiscally responsible decisions and fix it. So, and yes, thank you, Marty, for doing that.
Okay.
Ron, when we were upstairs, you were going to tell us something and we didn't have time. Do you want to share that now?
You talk about my dog story? I'm gonna put that on in escrow for a while. Mayor, thank you.
Hey, guess that's it.
I
Hey,
can't
Thomas
wait.
Candy, Crusade for Children. said-
Crusade for
Hey,
Children.
Crusade for Children said Thomas Candy, that nobody else up here got any. I'm just saying.
For the record, Mary knows this was not sent today.
Was it
This
more than
was given to me.
$25?
This was given to me 3 weeks ago, Mary, 4 weeks ago, when it came down, and I was to share it with you all. But eat your heart out.
Still not collected in the rolls.
Here, Marty. Here. Mayor, I think I do want to tell my story about the dog. It's gonna take a half an hour or so. Let me get my notes out.
No, Marty has an elder meeting.
Oh, okay.
Next month. Okay.
Let's
Yeah,
adjourn,
Thank
Mayor.
you. Okay, you're adjourned.
Dog is now part of the teacher.